I compared like British festivals to American festivals. The video did really well. It got like 120k views. I was quite happy with it. And like a week before that, I had a brand and they were like, "Oh yeah, we want to work with you." I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I got a random message one day that said, "They've seen your festival TikTok that you made, your comedy video, and they've had to pull the plug. We're cancelling the brand deal."
Really?
Which I find really interesting because there are some creators out there. Also, of course, it's comedy content.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying like go and do these.
No,
like, it's good to do these. No, it's comedy. I'm taking the mick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm having a laugh. It's relatable. People see that.
Yeah.
But they were just like, nope, sorry, it doesn't fit with our brand. Which I get in some cases, but they know what my content is. They know it's funny. It's just a laugh.
Yeah.
And there are some creators out there that will create some like really outlandish, like legs wide open content.
Yeah.
Well, not like that, but do you know what I mean? Like that sort of. They're so brash with what they say.
Welcome to You Know What, the podcast for you that dispels the myths and BS in the fitness industry whilst leveling up your A game in everyday life. We are your hosts, Nick Finch and Dan King. Well, welcome back to another episode, guys, of You Know What. Today we have Dan, we have Morgan Trotman. This is our TikTok content creator and future TV presenter, I've heard.
I'd say so. Yeah, that's the aim. Yeah,
Good
That's a
man.
long-term goal. I can't wait to see you on TV, mate. It'll be fantastic.
I think he already has been, hasn't he?
Well,
Wait.
we'll get into that in a minute. So you've got to stay tuned. So, Morgan, we always start the podcast with a random fact. Hit us with it.
Well, did you know that the average garden snail has 14,000 teeth?
We've never had that one on today.
Oh, thank God.
You've just unlocked a new fear.
You have what?
Fear of what? Being eaten by snails?
Snails. Yeah, man. Mate, okay, I had this question the other day. Imagine ants were the size of humans. Like, how horrible that would be.
That
Imagine
is hideous.
snails the size of humans with 14,000 teeth.
I don't know what they use the teeth for though. Like they're not munching on much.
No.
Not really moving along the floor. Maybe they use it for like mobility. They just try and drag their teeth along the floor. I don't know. That's fascinating though.
It's a good fact though, isn't it?
I love a good animal fact. I genuinely do. When I hear them, I'm adding that to my plethora of animal facts I've got from this show.
If there was data, it'd be like 85% of our episodes are animal facts. You know, this is like a common thing that people like.
You could just turn it into an animal fact podcast.
We could turn it into like a zoology podcast, couldn't we? And just start talking about. David Attenborough's done quite well off it. I think we could too.
We could be
Sir
the next
Nicholas
one.
Finch.
Am I involved
You
as well?
are involved? Of course you are.
Oh, okay,
yeah, mate.
So
You're definitely involved.
I need some
100%.
looks anyway.
You've probably
so.
given us the most interesting one so far because I didn't even know snails had teeth. So that's an interesting part.
There you go.
love
14,000.
But obviously, Morgan, we've got you on the podcast today, and it's a pleasure having you on, I will say.
Thank you.
And we want to kind of go through some bits and pieces more on the content creator side of it, speaking about how Snowflake era is maybe affecting a lot of people and how people are thinking, and kind of a lot of interesting parts about yourself as well. So firstly, introduce yourself. Let everyone who's watching and listening know a bit about yourself and what you do. What's your whole pretense in life?
Yeah, of course. Basically, I just try and make comedy content, try and make people laugh, entertain them. You know, life can be a bit stressful and horrible, so I always try and make people laugh because it just gives you that good feeling. You know, no matter how bad a day you're having, if you see something that's funny, you're like, huh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, you can
Exactly.
you can go back to then having a terrible day, but you know, it gives you that relief for a little bit. So yeah, I make comedy on TikTok. I make TikTok on comedy.
Comedy on TikTok.
Comedy on
It is comedy on TikTok. Yeah, I do comedy content, so I make little like skits, sketches, relatable scenarios. And also play some like different comedy characters. So I do a teacher that's just ridiculous for a teacher, and different characters like that. And yeah, just
What's your most
laugh.
popular character?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I had one for a while, which was someone that goes on a date, but they're just obsessed with TikTok. So they're always like reeling off the TikTok sounds on the date. And I think the first video I did with that, it was like massive. It got like 7.4 million views and like instantly boosted my followers because everyone was obviously on TikTok at the time. It was during lockdown, so everyone knows these sounds and like say them out loud. Helicopter, like, stupid stuff like that. I'm so glad you laughed because like I said that the other day and no one had
it was a
heard
funny
of
voice, to be fair.
Yeah, I know that one very well. Yeah, that was it was literally the trend going on for ages, wasn't it? It was also all of, like the Indian TikToks that came about as well, wasn't there? Do you remember that? There was a time when Indian TikTok took off.
Yeah.
And you sat there and saw this like, what was it? Paint edited videos. They were getting millions of views. Me and Nick were sitting there like, why are people watching our stuff? But people are watching a Bengal tiger jump out of a tank.
Well, that's the thing with TikTok. Like, you will get, everyone has such different like FYPs as well. You have so many different things. Like, you could speak to a mate and he's been like, have you seen all these videos about like breastfeeding mums, and I'm like, no, like, I think you need to stop watching certain content. But no, yeah, it's brilliant.
That is the thing,
yeah.
though, the algorithm takes you down this rabbit hole, and then whenever you say it to someone else, like, no, I didn't get into that, mate.
And it's when you say it out loud, I just realised I've said breastfeeding mums now, so now my page is going to come up with
Breastfeeding mums.
What a shame.
Oh, God damn it.
Now, let's not talk about that, because, you know, some of the things that you say and it picks up through your voice is insane. Like, you can literally you can talk about anything, and then suddenly you get ads for it.
Yeah,
and it's actually been shown to be the case.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's clever, but but no, it's just what I do. I try and make little comedy videos, and the goal is to be sort of big time TV presenter, sort of Late Show with Mo Gilligan, Michael McIntyre, Big Show, that sort of thing. I just really enjoy making people laugh, really.
Here's a question for you then. With the kind of TikTok side of things, how did you come to the conclusion that that's where you wanted to go with it? Like, what brought you around to be like, okay, I can see TikTok being my outlet here to push me into presenting work? What kind of joined the dots?
To be honest, probably when you start having like brands and companies reach out to you, because it makes you think like, oh, maybe I am like quite valuable to them. And I've had a few people come to me and say, oh, we love your content, we'd love to do something with you. And then when I was doing that, I thought, yeah, you know, this could maybe push me into presenting, because TikTok is brilliant. I do love it. I think it's a great app, but I would also like to have my higher end goal being a presenter. And I think when you're making comedy skits or showing your personality, then sometimes, you know, commissioners, producers might see that and think, oh, you know, he'd be quite good in a radio show or a TV show. So I think, I think it's just when people started reaching out to me, that made me think like, oh, maybe there's something in this long term for me, just a little bit after TikTok.
Well, interesting you're saying about going on TV shows. You featured on Tipping Point.
I did,
So
yeah.
what was your experience actually being on TV like? And especially a big show like Tipping Point with Ben Shepherd as a presenter. Obviously, he's well known in the industry. He's been on it, I don't know how many years. But what was your experience like being on a show like Tipping Point? How did you feel?
I actually loved it. I say actually, obviously most people do love it. Not everyone comes off like, oh, I hated it. Well, if you don't win any money.
No, well, yeah.
Yeah. Poor guy that drove all the way from Manchester to Bristol on my episode.
Were you
Left
sitting
with
there next to
absolutely
people
nothing.
being like, haha, fuck you?
Well, in a way, like I was feeling bad, but it actually started. I applied online on a night out when I was drunk at uni.
Really?
And I didn't realise I did it at all. Like, and they phoned me up about a few months later. And with TV shows, it's always the same. Like, you have an initial phone call, you'll have a Zoom call, another Zoom call, and then they'll just go over some questions like, have you murdered people in the past? Like, just some like basic security questions.
Perfect.
And yeah, I went on. I think it was filmed in April 2021, and it didn't air till November 2022. So I was holding on to that, like, that money. To spoil it. But yeah, basically, no, I went on. There was a lady who, she was obsessed with Ben Shepherd. Like, she had a Ben Shepherd dressing gown, a mug. I didn't even know he did merch, like dressing gowns. But yeah, she loved him. So I thought she's going to be a proper fan of the show. So she's going to like know all the questions, know the format. But I also did my research. You know, there's money on the line here. You can win, I think, technically up to 20 grand.
Damn.
That's quite a lot.
But yeah, no. For a TV show, you know, for free.
Yeah.
And yeah, I went on, sat in the green room before. There was the lady who was obsessed, and then the guy from Manchester who got nothing, sadly. But his loss,
sadly.
literally my game.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was so interesting to see behind the scenes of just like the production, the setup, the runners, like with their earphones in, saying, "Oh, we gotta go this camera four." It's like, whoa.
So it's like this then.
No, literally, a little bit. maybe slightly.
Tech guy in.
Your green room's downstairs with coffee.
Yeah, no, I love that. It was lovely here. But yeah, no, it was really interesting. I don't know if you ever watched the Doctor Who. Did you ever watch Doctor Who?
Yeah, I watched Doctor Who. Apparently, it's new. He's come back, hasn't he?
Yeah. It's,
the guy.
Nkuti, the guy from Sex Education.
Yes,
isn't
he
it?
is.
Yeah.
He's now. I think that's a good choice. If I'm totally honest, I think he's a great
got
choice.
such a great character. But did you ever watch the episode with? This is going back like doctors like Christopher Eccleston, Leather Jacket.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch it?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I watched that one.
David Tennant.
So the one just before.
See, I'm an old man, so I've got the experience here. I can see this.
Did you ever see the episode where the Doctor went on like the weakest link?
No.
Oh, really? You need
I
to
don't
watch
remember
it
that.
because
No.
that's what it felt like. Like you're sort of, it feels so surreal being on like the TV.
How jokes is Anne Robertson though? She was savage, wasn't she? She's such dry humour, and she would just literally like say the most dodgy shit.
No, she was hilarious. But yeah, there was an episode of Doctor Who where he went on TV, and it felt like that.
Really?
Like it's so surreal. But I loved the experience. It was great. The machine you see, if anyone doesn't know, Tipping Point's the one with like the coin machine that you get at the arcade, but just scaled up. When you see the machine, it's the magic of TV. It's not actually that big. It's probably like smaller than this table.
Really?
Yeah. But on the
Is it
screen,
actually?
it looks huge, and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa. But Yeah, so it was a little bit. And also, there's a massive ledge on Tipping Point. This is a little sneak peek
Insider.
insight. Yeah. If you step back a few steps, you will literally fall off about an 8-foot hole. I think they had Gemma Collins on. Don't quote me on this, because it might be wrong. But they had someone, and they stepped back when they were recording, literally fell off, and they were like, oh my God, Gemma Collins has fallen off the stage.
I'm claustrophobic, Darren.
Well, she's more than that.
Was she okay?
In an 8-foot hole.
Was she okay?
I don't know.
8 foot is a long way to fall.
They just told me they felt, and then, yeah, you're on. So I was like, okay.
8 foot though. What? Why?
It might be exaggerating, maybe
No,
4
well,
foot.
just but you're still.
We had to climb up some like steps, you know, in the train when they bring
Yeah.
in like, it was like one of those. We had to go up a ramp to go on. But yeah, I love the show. I smashed it. I did loads of research before. I was like watching every episode that was on like Sky.
What's the strategy to make
ITV.
sure it goes where you want it to go?
Wow. They always say go for drop zone 1 or drop zone 4.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why, but they say that. It didn't work for me because I didn't get the full money in the end. But yeah, I just watched like every episode of the show I could. I never go in for the first question because the first one at the counter of the day, it doesn't normally get anything out.
Yeah.
And I knew this is a tactic, but of course the Ben Shepherd woman that was obsessed with him also watches the show. She knew that. So she got the first question right, passed it to me.
Oh,
Really?
did she? The
Sneaky woman, I wouldn't say, but yeah, she tried to use that tactic, but I got money out.
Yeah.
Never normally happens.
Were the youngest one there?
Yeah, she was probably like 40s.
Yeah, so they
he
probably
was
thought,
50s.
oh, young, he's probably not going to be as intelligent. He's probably going to
Maybe,
mess
yeah.
this up.
I did.
And then she got fucking beaten.
But you know what? I have a news article as well, because I don't know if I still hold it, but at the time I had the record for the biggest drop that they've ever had.
Did you?
I got like 26 counters or something with the double.
Fuck.
I know. So that's basically, I basically won the show in round 1.
So you were literally just going through it, trying to obviously get to the end and get the questions right at that point in time.
Well, yeah, because it was just building up the money, because you know there was almost no chance that anyone could catch me out. It was so lucky, but obviously I got the right question right at the right time, and yeah, in round 1, all the producers were like, "Oh, you kind of won now."
That's mad.
And I was thinking like, "No, seriously,
That's
just in case."
You're going to be invited on the chase next. Who wants to be a millionaire?
Well, the things with the
box.
chase, like you got to rely on other people, so that's
Yeah.
why I like Tipping Point. And let's be honest, the questions are a little bit easier on Tipping Point. So yeah, no, I loved it. I chatted to Ben Shepherd as well. He was really nice. He was a West Ham fan.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, lucky man.
Oh, mate.
Well, I think we beat him like 6-0 last week. So if you're watching, Ben, sorry about that.
Yeah, Ben Shepherd, if you're watching the podcast.
But yeah, he was really lovely. I was just chatting to him about football a little bit, but I know he films a lot of that show to get them all in, probably because they're paying for the studio space. But yeah, he was lovely, and I loved being on TV. It was interesting.
It's interesting hearing your first experience of it as well, because, as I say, we're going back to the content creator side of things here. So you did say as well, you got a lot of deals from your work. Now, we were talking about brand deals. Has there been any deals that haven't quite gone the way you wanted them to go?
With brands, it's interesting because I've had a few. I wouldn't say I've had loads and loads of brand deals, but it is interesting because a lot of them will reach out and say, "We love your content. We'd like to make something that tailors towards your content. Like we want to incorporate your style naturally. You know, we didn't just want to do this." And then you'll send them like a script which is in your usual style, and then they'll say, "Okay, yeah, we love this, but can you just do this instead?" And it'll be a completely changed script, and it's a bit like, well, you sort of said you want me for me in my script. And then but that's with some of them. A lot of them, to be fair, are also very, very good. They'll tweak little things maybe that they have to get across for their brand, like maybe they have a key message or stuff. But yeah, the majority of brands are good, but there are some that will try and literally make you do this, and it's like, well, just get someone that you've got to do that. Why do you want me if you don't want my sort of natural style? But there was an occasion with a certain brand that I won't name, but it was a struggle. I think it was around Coachella times, you know, American Music Festival, and I tried to compare American festivals with British festivals.
Good one.
And
I
I
like
was at Coachella and I was doing like, oh my God, yeah, this is so nice. Like, I believe that we will win, like stuff like that. And then crossed to a British festival. I was like, obviously people indulge in things, and I may have been like twitching my jaw or something like that. But it was just the stark contrast between like American festival, like, ooh, and then like guy off his face.
Mate, British festivals are absolutely mashed.
They're unmatched, aren't they? Like, there's nothing like
I mean, everyone I've been to has been muddy. It's always rained whenever I've gone to a festival.
Yeah.
Which feels like the British festival to me on average.
Do you know what? It's rough when it's proper hot though.
Yeah,
Because, like, the dust you get from the tents when it's hot on a festival. Oh my god, you look like you have a
Mate, the
tan.
tent-
You walk out with a
you
face
could die in
mask.
those tents.
Yeah,
you
no,
could probably
literally.
die. You could dehydrate and die in those.
It's awful. Bit morbid, Nick, but
Mate, I've got some horrible festival stories. I don't think we should go down
No, I
there
don't think we
today.
go down that rabbit hole today.
There's some gruesome ones.
But yeah, no, I compared like British festivals to American festivals. The video did really well. It got like 120k views. I was quite happy with it. And like a week before that, I had a brand, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we want to work with you." I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I got a random message one day that said, "They've seen your festival TikTok that you made, your comedy video, and they've had to pull the plug. We're cancelling the brand deal."
Really?
Which I find really interesting, because there are some creators out there. Also, of course, it's comedy content.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying like go and do these.
No.
Like, it's good to do these. No, it's comedy. I'm taking the mick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm having a laugh. It's relatable. People see that.
Yeah.
But they were just like, nope, sorry, it doesn't fit with our brand. Which I get in some cases, but they know what my content is. They know it's funny. It's just a laugh.
Yeah.
And there are some creators out there that will create some like really outlandish, like legs wide open content.
Yeah.
Well, not like that, but do you know what I mean? Like that sort of. They're so brash with what they say. But if they've got a really, really high following, they don't seem to care.
No.
So it's interesting how that balance of they will use their principles to a certain point, but if you do have loads of following, we'll just let you get away with it. So that
Do
was-
you know what? This touches upon the next point of like Snowflake like culture, about cancel culture. Like, do you know Russell Brand?
Yeah.
Recently had the issue where he's what was it? So had some problems like a few years back, and then it's all come back up. Everyone knew Russell Brand's a bit of a, a dodgy guy, in some way. But that's Russell Brand, and he had an issue where they were trying to cancel him on all the platforms. Elon Musk got a letter saying you need to take him down, and there was multiple companies. That's why it came to light. And you've experienced cancel culture in some way from brands, obviously saying like, oh, you've done one little video about this, and we don't want to associate with you at all, even if it's not like a huge amount of followers. So so what do you think about like cancel culture as a whole then, in terms of what you've experienced?
Yeah, I mean, I would, for legal reasons, like to say that the allegations against Russell Brand are quite different to what I've had. Mine are nothing in that case. But it is interesting in terms of like that brand, like cancelling that and things like that. Because I think with comedy, things have slightly changed. Like people do seem to get a lot more offended about things these days. But at the same time, there is also more talk about people's problems and things like that, which is, of course, is needed. But in terms of comedy, it's just it's a difficult one, because I grew up watching shows like, I don't know if you ever watched Come Fly With Me.
Yes.
Oh, I love that show.
Great show.
It's so funny. Or like Little Britain.
Little
before
Britain,
that.
yeah.
Again, but it's not in bad taste. It's just comedy. And it's difficult to weigh up. Is it funny or is it offensive? But they're in such good light. They're not trying to be offensive. That shows that they have my belly laughing. Come Fly With Me. And I don't know if you've ever seen Chris Lilly. He does loads of shows like Summer Heights High. He's an Australian guy.
Yes,
or
yes,
Jamae.
yes.
They're different.
I
He
know
does
what you
like
mean.
sketch characters, and they're just so funny. And even things like The In-Betweeners, like such an iconic,
Face Jacker.
hilarious show.
Face Jacker.
Who is
Phone
that?
Jacker.
The guy who goes Terry Tips, like he changes that. He literally changes his face and then has a totally different persona.
Yeah. But
I can't see TV having these things anymore.
That's
won't.
the thing.
Do you know what I
Like, well, Come Fly With Me's been taken down, and like
they were meant to re-release, weren't they? This year, was it this year they were meant to re-release, and
Oh,
then it
were
all
they?
just got pulled because they put out a vote. It was a vote for Come Fly With Me to come back, and it was a 50-50 vote
Right.
of people saying yes, I want to see it again. People saying no, I don't want to see it again.
Right.
Because obviously there's a massive divide in people finding stuff like that funny and just feeling offended at the same time.
Yeah.
I can understand some of the sketches on Come Fly With Me.
Yeah.
Like, what was the coffee woman's name? Like, I think
Precious.
that just
blackface is a bit maybe not.
There are some questionable things.
and like the
Little Britain,
two
the
Asian
disabled
people.
guy.
Oh
He just stands
yeah.
up and just carries on doing things. He gets back down. He's like,
Yeah, some things like that, they're sort of out of time and out of touch. But in terms of some of the jokes, some of them are very funny
Yeah.
still, and you don't want to see stuff like that taken
I
down.
want to see
so-
Ali G come back, man.
Oh, I
Going
watched
onto
that.
live TV with all the presenters and it's like, you sucked up a horse.
But this is the thing, that was like the tens, wasn't it? The tens had that humour going into it was very kind of like people actually got the joke at that point in time.
Yeah.
Whereas now I think people see even small little minor details and they're like, well, I don't know about that. That's not
Yeah.
true. That's not factually correct. I'm like, of course it's not factually correct. It's a joke.
Well, what's interesting is when Barbie came out, I do a character which is like a bald cap with a white guy. He was like your classic, can I say this word? Gammon.
Yeah,
He's like
gammon.
your old guy.
Yeah.
And like your typical Brexit means Brexit, England flag in his bio.
Tommy Robinson follower, that kind of person.
I did like a character like that, and it was like insecure man watches the Barbie film, and I think I found every incel on Instagram. The comments were like, the video did really well. He was like, this film's sexist, it's saying that men are bad, like, obviously, as in that's how an insecure man would see it. But they all started coming for me like, oh, girls aren't going to sleep with you because you say this, mate. I was like, that was not my goal. Thank you very much. I'm just making but it's literally the video that it was mocking those people. It triggered them. They all came out for me, and it's like, you're just embarrassing.
And you know what's worse as well? That community is growing as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Obviously, like, you know, society like swings one way, then swings back, and we've swung this way so hard. Now it's doing this way, and it's chaos, mate. I do find, you know, X, Elon Musk took over, and then obviously the whole thing about freedom of speech and not cancelling people. I have found since that's happened that it's been a better like time to have freedom of speech, but then at the same time, there's a lot of people that are coming out of the woodwork and being a bit more courageous about the way they say certain misogynistic type views.
Yeah.
So it is getting a bit dicey, a bit scary.
It is, yeah. It's a tough one. It's like Joe Barton. He's sort of come out recently and said whatever he wants, and some of it's awful, but it's what Elon Musk is allowed to happen.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I think there's a different level of tolerance on different platforms as well. Yeah. I think across the board, I think X/Twitter has always been quite an open platform where people can pretty much, you think about the stuff that Trump used to say before he got taken down, you know, you can pretty much say what you want and spread what you want on Twitter. TikTok's more the comment section, let's be real. It's just full of like user 123 who just wants to berate someone for the day and then log off the app. Instagram, I actually find is a little bit more PG. Like, people tend to be a little bit calmer on Instagram because
I'd say than the other two,
yeah. And then Facebook, you just get middle-aged people turning around to you telling you you're wrong.
TikTok is savage.
Yeah.
Like,
it can be, yeah.
I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I've seen live videos of like people that are, something's wrong with them, obviously, and like, everyone's taking the piss out in the comments, but they're just enjoying it because they're getting loads of views.
Apologies for interrupting the podcast today. Thank you so much for tuning into You Know What. We really appreciate you listening, subscribing, liking, and reviewing everything that we're doing. It's so nice to see so many of you interacting with our podcast as it grows. If you didn't already know, me and Nick have one of the fastest growing online coaching platforms on the planet, and we'd love to get you involved. We're looking for ambitious people looking to grow their careers and grow their experience in health and fitness. Me and Nick have over 10 years of working experience in the fitness industry, and we'd love to help you achieve the results that you've always wanted. Make sure to contact either Coach Dan King or Get Fit by Nick, or even just check the link in our bio to the podcast now. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, why am I watching this shit, man?
It's like decrepit culture, isn't it? It's like humiliation culture almost, in a way, isn't it? Where I saw a video that went viral on TikTok, which was a woman saying like she was talking about kind of femininity and how women should rule the world. And she had a guy on a leash wearing like a pink outfit. It will come up on your feed. I've said it now.
Oh, God.
Anyway, it was talking about this, and within that humiliation culture, you look through the comment section and all these people just berating this guy, and the guy was probably feeding off it. That's the thing. So you're saying about the live, someone sees the little like counter going up in the top left corner, and you're like, oh my God, it's doing great. Oh my God, I'm like famous now. But like, what was the guy? Butterfly NPC in America?
All right.
I don't know if you remember seeing him. There's a guy who basically acts like an NPC for the full day and gets donations and gifts sent to him.
An NPC, as in like a non-playing character?
Yeah, he acts like he's... it was all that weird NPC phase that we had.
I remember that,
That was odd. But like, I think people almost humiliation in some ways is kind of accepted. Like, people are like, because they earn money off it, it's now kind of expected as a good thing.
I know what you mean. People, I don't know, people want to give their opinions and they don't really care what effect it could have on someone. Like, even with Tipping Point Twitter is horrendous.
Really?
If you ever just after an episode type in like #TippingPoint, there's like 5 different accounts that every day, which is sad enough in itself, they watch TV and try and say like, oh, you dumb so-and-so, you stupid little... And it's like, what are you doing with your life? Like, go read a crossword or do some football or play something, like talk to some friends. Why are you spending your time hating on people? And I obviously, with my TikTok comments, I have had a little bit of hate, but I always read through comments because I just naturally can't help it. But even when I went on Tipping Point, I remember it was during lockdown as well. So my hair was like a little bit all over the place, and I wore these jeans and they were like, I don't really like them, but they're quite like difficult on shows with what you're allowed to wear and things like that, because colours and things like that. And I remember I was wearing these jeans, they're a little bit short, and someone tweeted like, yeah, Morgan seems an alright lad, but is he waiting for a flood or something? And I was like, yeah, to be fair, that's actually quite a good one. But like, that's the sort of comedy that I like.
I rate that.
You know,
I
like,
rate
that
that.
is fun.
Yeah.
That's a thoughtful hate comment.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. They've done well. That's a clever hate comment.
That's a bit of banter. I'm fine with a bit of banter. It's like, I've had them on my post before. Nick's had, we've spoken about death threats on yours before, but you just get all these kind of rare comments from people. It's like Skinhead Gareth comments saying, "Oh, mate, I don't know about that. I'm not too sure." I'm like, I go on your profile and you just put Welsh flag, beers. That's your profile.
It's a really strange one.
You want some fruit and veg?
Yeah, it's bizarre. But obviously we talk about snowflake culture there because it is such I think it is big at the minute as well, more so than anything else. And to be honest, we were talking about generational just before this, that me and Morgan are technically of the generation of snowflake culture, because for you, Nick, like,
I mean, I'm at the upper echelon.
He's in the
word.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Upper echelon.
Echelon. Can you spell it?
Wait. I don't know why I even said I was going to do that. Feels like that game where the kids have to spell the words out, and it's like, what the fuck?
But yeah, like, it's that kind of generation of that kind of, I don't want to say flavourless. It's not flavourless because we've all got this level of humour, but I do think it's going to get to a point with our generation where it's almost victim mentality, where people are seeing these kind of people commenting and saying, "Oh, this isn't doing this for me, so I don't like seeing it in this certain way," and people aren't kind of accepting that they're maybe doing something wrong in their own lives to get there, especially in the fitness world for us, because obviously I know you're interested in your fitness as well. You're a sporty guy. We used to play football once or twice.
High level,
high level of refereeing friendly game. But
Man City said we were too good to play, so
mate,
we had to turn it down.
Well,
but
didn't you play for an academy at one point in time?
to be fair, I was decent at football. Like,
Yeah.
as a youngster, I was like playing for county, and I had academy trials,
Yeah.
but I normally just had like bad stomach problems on the day and didn't do very well. But yeah, no, I was alright at football. It wasn't too bad.
I mean, it's interesting as well because I think a lot of the medium, in terms of like kind of, let's go into the fitness space a little bit as well. Like, we try and embrace comedy in there, and there are some like people in the fitness space that are quite funny and find it interesting, but then we go into people that are just walking through supermarkets picking up food, and I'm not going to name names, but like, people are just picking up food and berating it and just kind of like demonizing stuff. I was speaking to someone this morning who said we're in such a negative marketing space these days where we even do it in our content. We're trying to pick up the negative things because people are clicking on it, and it's again the validation.
But that's the human mind. We pick up negative things more than positive things.
Yeah.
Like, it's just how we're built.
And it's just going to, I think that's going to spiral in some cases though, because I think if we're going to continue to validate this negative side of things, when someone sees like a bit of humour content, as you say, you could spend hours doing a piece of content that is funny and it's not offensive and it's just a joke, but that won't push because TikTok goes, nah, that's not how we want it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, my content's not even too bad anymore because obviously I'm trying to pursue a TV, radio, whatever it is, broadcast career. So I maybe don't make the content that I used to as much. I just think about it with a bit of caution. But at the same time, obviously I do understand there's a line. You know, you can take a joke so far, but don't push it way over the line. But at the same time, if you meet that line, if you feel offended, you feel offended. But that's more on you.
The main problem is though, like as you're learning, because obviously like no one's going to turn 20 and suddenly have the skills and knowledge to be able to see what's going to be good for posting or not. So 20 years later, they make it in whatever profession they're in. Then people go back 20 years ago and says, "You said this, that's bad."
Yeah, it happens a lot now, doesn't it?
Which obviously I was saying, not just Russell Brand, but like there's loads of people that have had that
It
issue.
was Jack Maynard, wasn't it, on I'm a Celeb, who got told to leave the show years ago because of was it racial comments that he'd left on Facebook, and someone pulled up a Facebook comment and they were like, "You can't stay on the show anymore." And bearing in mind this was probably from when he was about 15.
Yeah,
and
in that case, we all say stupid things when we're young. Like, obviously you can't say certain things, but to have a go at someone for that 20 years later.
But this is the thing, people are just pulling up stuff from people's past and being like, "This is what you said." I'm like, it was acceptable at that point in time. It was never acceptable. You know what I mean? It was more acceptable.
It was something. It's a silly thing.
There's only one thing I don't want leaked. That's my group chat.
You could,
my boys' group chat.
Oh god,
Xbox Live chats, my friend.
They were awful back in the day.
Yeah, that gets leaked. That's bad, man.
But it's always, you see the memes about it, don't you? I find it interesting. Now, moving on a little bit as well. So for you, Morgan, as well, you've done stand-up, and this is where I want to go into a little bit now because I find it fascinating. So for you, do you have any like idols out there, like comedy idols? You're like, I'd love to kind of like work with them or develop my skills up to a level where I'm like on par.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried stand-up. I'd say probably only a handful of times. Like, not too much, but it's something I will definitely carry on in the future. But but I'd say people like I mentioned before, Mo Gilligan, I find him so funny. Everything he says just cracks me up. Rob Beckett, I'm always listening to his podcast. I need to get his tour tickets today, actually. They've just been released, yeah. Michael McIntyre, like Kevin Hart, even Dave Chappelle, which, of course, with cancel culture as well, is quite a controversial figure.
Dave Chappelle, do you say?
Yeah. But again, personally, I just find him hilarious because it's in good taste. It's not.
But Jimmy Carr, when he heckles.
That's yeah. I mean, obviously it's just my opinion. People may disagree, but you like what you like. I'm not gonna.
See, I'm a Frankie Boyle liker. I like a bit of Frankie Boyle. He's
he's savage. A classic. Yeah, like Mock the Week back in the day. When my God. I just found it hilarious.
Things you wouldn't hear at a rock concert. And things he said. Oh my God.
But then you go to the other extent, though. You're like Ricky Gervais, and like Ricky Gervais is very like tooth and nail, isn't it? You have to have a certain level of humor to listen to his stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I listen to, I'm like, I get that. Like I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can get why people are offended.
Of course, yeah.
But I think this goes back to it again that he's just got one of the biggest backbones on the planet that he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
And he will remain probably one of the strongest comedians out there because no matter what he says, I mean, he did a series about cancer, a Netflix series about cancer, and he still did amazing when he published
but it's how brilliant. I think sometimes it's in the writing as well. If you're really clever with it, then you can almost get away with more, but because it's in the form of a cleverly written joke.
Well, you saw what he said in Hollywood, didn't you? Like the things he said to the Hollywood elite and Apple and Tim Cook and everything like that. It was savage. like Tim Cook's standing there and the things he's saying to him about Apple working in having slave labor and stuff. Oh my God! Like you need that though. You need someone that's a comedian where you push the line a little bit. Because you need to know where the line is.
Exactly, yeah. I think at the end of the day, it's if it's done in good taste, there's no sort of malice behind it, then comedy's comedy. That's the beauty of it. And people aren't always going to find what you make funny, but that's okay. Some people might like certain actors or actresses, some might not. It's a similar sort of thing. That's the creative world.
It's very true.
But yeah, in terms of stand-up, no, I really love it, and I would encourage like anyone to give it a go, just even once, because it's just such a good experience.
Live tour.
Well, I mean, you could do ultra white charity stand-up. I did the boxing last year, the charity boxing.
Yeah.
Same company does stand-up.
So I'll do that over boxing any
so
day
you get
of the
1,000
week.
people.
I would as well.
Yeah, you get 1,000 people will turn up. It's obviously for charity. There'll be like 20 to 30 of you. You do a stand-up routine.
Yeah.
That would terrify me, mate. The boxing sounds easier.
No,
the stand-up.
Do you think?
Yeah. Because I can just switch my brain off and just focus on the fight.
The thing with the stand-up, I loved it because like I remember the tube journey there. I was like shaking, and even on stage, I do like shake a little bit, but I don't actually feel nervous in myself. No. It's weird. I think it's more
physical.
Yeah, it's more like I've worked on this. I want it to do well, rather than I'm scared of standing in front of people, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, after I got off, it's the weirdest feeling. You feel like you don't really care what anyone thinks anymore, because I've managed to get up in front of a room of people and not embarrass myself. Like
really?
It's such an odd feeling, and I think it's similar to like when you get TikTok hate comments and you read through, and you just think,
that's it.
Yeah, like
that's it. Just
now what?
now what you're going to do. I mean, it's about pushing yourself out of your comfort zone as well, and that is an interesting debate to have, because if you're saying for yourself there, Nick, you're saying that boxing for yourself would be easier than doing a comedy show, but technically in boxing, isn't it in a sense of you are on stage performing in front of, because you actually said about this in a previous podcast, you said the most nervous thing was coming out into the ring in the first instance, wasn't it?
Yeah. You have to, I mean, I would say there's some parallels between stand-up and boxing in some way, because both of them, you're going to be in a situation where all eyes are on you. You're in the moment, you have to perform. And there's a moment I found where your anxiety levels are through the roof beforehand, and then you either let it take you, or what you said is literally what I did too. You reframe those thoughts of anxiety as excitement. And actually, it's just you giving you the energy to be alert and focused, and not allow yourself to fall too far out of the moment. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
so
definitely.
I like that. When you said about it makes you excited, that's literally how you should be framing it.
Yeah.
That shaking is you energized. I want
this to go well. Yeah. No, it's brilliant though. Like, I would encourage anyone to do it. Just give it a go, because it might be awful, but it might go well, and
that could be something after my triathlon. There you go, because that's how I know that's how I'm going to feel doing this triathlon. I'm going to be shitting myself when I'm going in. Like, training at the minute is fine. I'm like 11 weeks out. I've got plenty of time. I'm relaxed, but internally I know there's this anxiety building of like, I want to do well, and it's not for me. I've said this before. Oh, by the way, please donate to my charity. But like, I want to do well, and in your head you're like, I really want to do well, and then you just keep putting pressure on yourself. But as you said, reframing it in a way of like, actually, I'm excited to see what I can do.
Yeah.
It's a good way to look at these things. And so I think it's a advice for anyone who wants to get into content creating. Be excited about the content you make. Don't just make content because the algorithm's telling you to make it, because you will get burnt out. Me and Nick have done it before when we've tried to taper things how the algorithm goes. And you get burnt out. And this is why I think a lot of content creators don't survive, because they burn out, and then you have people like yourself who are still going through those burnout phases. Now you're probably seen as one of the OGs on there, you know. Like if we're thinking about the percentage of people that are above 100k followers, it's not that many. It isn't when you look at the percentage of people who are on TikTok itself.
True.
You know, and it's something I think you have to reframe your mindset around those things to say, actually, I'm doing fucking great. Like,
it's difficult though with burnout as well. And with TikTok, it's such like a results-driven platform. Like, as much as you can make a video and think it'll be great, if it does tank, you do feel a bit like, ugh. But you do just have to push yourself and think, I enjoy making the content, let's make another one. You know, this might do well, it might not. But sometimes videos don't do well, numbers wise. But someone really important sees that video and then they say, oh, here, we want to put you on this TV show. We want to try you in this situation. So sometimes it's just, as you said, if you're passionate about what you do it. Carry on doing it. You know, the results of the platform, you know, they are what they are. But at the end of the day, if you carry on doing something, you will naturally improve. And after a certain amount of time, you naturally become an expert.
It depends what your priority is, isn't it, as well? Because if you're making money off, say, TikTok, and then if you start tanking and you lose money, now you're going to be worried, and now anxiety will build, and you're like, oh, right, I need to now change the way I do it, so the algorithm picks it up, I get more money. So, I mean, if you're going with that idea of passion, then, and not the money side of things, then you can just be free flowing and see what works for you. You know, we're obviously, as a podcast, we're into the 33rd episode now, I think it is. Like, we're still finding our feet, and the more we do it, the more we find our feet, and we start to figure out what works, what's not. That's why, you know, 1 week we have an army captain, 1 week we have an OnlyFans model.
Yeah, you set the bar quite high before this. One disposal captain, OnlyFans model, and then we got this guy that makes silly videos on TikTok. TV presenter in the future.
So I mean, I'm personally interested. I know Dan's got his own interest in it as well. But I'm interested in viewing people that are ambitious and they've got some kind of passion, they're chasing it. That's what I love, you know, because that's what I am myself. That's what Dan is. We chase our own passion, and I find you get the most engaging conversations with those type of people.
I think they've had a lot of life experience as well, because sometimes they might have done this at the start. Like, I graduated forensics at uni, you know, dead bodies and things like that, and
now you're on tipping point with Ben Shepherd.
Literally,
How does that happen?
No, it's that's what it's so crazy. But yeah, you know, I sort of I had a degree in that, but I looked into it and it wasn't really for me. I wanted to focus on sort of, you know, making content, making people laugh, entertaining, and I'm hoping that is the route to get me into presenting on TV, radio, broadcast, whatever it is, or even on digital, like presenting things. You see TikTokers everywhere now. It's crazy, and it is quite interesting because I do see both sides of it. But I don't know if you saw Billie Eilish was at the People's Choice Awards, I think it was, and she's seen turning to, I can't remember who it was. I think it was someone really famous, but she was like, there's like TikTokers here, and it's gone quite big because like there's that whole debate of why are all these TikTokers being invited to events. And at the same time, I do think there are some TikTokers out there that do get a lot of opportunities that don't quite match what niche they're in. But then you see people like Amelia de Moldenberg who have absolutely smashed it with their content, makes brilliant content, and then you see them doing well. They're at the Oscars, they're at VMAs, all these award shows. Like, people that deserve it, which is fantastic.
I think you've got GK Barry in there as well, haven't you? Yeah, like GK Barry has done amazing. I've said to you about her before because fortunately I'm blessed to know the girl. But
do you know her?
Yeah, she lived in my village.
Oh, she follows me on Instagram.
God damn it! She used to follow me on Instagram.
Oh no!
But then I started posting fitness content.
No,
I went to school with her, so that's the interesting thing there, and the link there. I have messaged Grace in the past, like prior to her getting big, about asking for like tips on TikTok and stuff. But again, this is the thing. She's taken a big opportunity there, and similar to what you do, she plays a character.
Yeah,
like she plays, and that is why the because she does. Let's say she does comedy. That is basically what she does. It's relatability in comedy, and I know she's being herself, but like, not to disregard Grace by any means, but Grace, you always put on more of a personality, don't you? Like, for me, for even my content, you add an extra layer to your personality when you do it. So Grace brings about this Essex tone. I saw a comment about this because you're from near where I am, around Cambridgeshire. I'm from Cambridgeshire. You're from Hertfordshire. They're close. They're close.
Yeah.
So someone said, is that the Cambridgeshire accent? But she puts on like an Essex twang. And this is what I mean by putting on a show, putting on a performance, showing people what, you know, you can deliver in that circumstance. And obviously she's now doing a tour around the UK, selling out
it's
stuff.
Crazy. Like, yeah, big up to her, to be fair, because yeah, it's rough.
It's incredible. It is rough, and it takes a while to get going. And as I say, anyone who's watching this who wants to become a content creator, you have to plug away, and you have to get through probably like 2-3 years of just trugging away, maybe breaking 10k, 20k, 30k followers, something like that to start with. Because all these people that do like amazing followings and grow in a year, there's normally an underpinning side to it that there's something that gets it through. And I did want to ask you this, Morgan. So you said you've had famous people to reach out to you. What kind of, like, who's the most famous person you've had reach out to you on a platform?
Oh, most famous person.
Yeah, Greg James the other week, didn't that, shared one of your stories?
Oh,
am I
yeah,
right in
true.
saying?
Yeah, Greg James. I made a TikTok about like honest radio presenting. You know how like, oh, good morning and welcome to BBC Radio 1 with me, Morgan Trotman. Sounded good, that, didn't it?
That was good. That was strong.
No,
That was
like
actually good in mine.
I was invested in that.
But it was like, and then it cut away, and he was like, my girlfriend broke up with me. But let's see who we got on the text over here. So it's like that sort of, you know, that's relatable to a radio DJ. And yeah, I put it on my story and tagged him and said, oh, Greg James has been quiet since this one. And then he actually like messaged me. He was like, haha, yeah, this is so true. Like, so yeah, I don't know, he's up there. I'd say Ben Shepherd, but I messaged him being like, oh, thanks for having me on the show. And he was like, yeah, sure. Nah, he was really nice. I don't know, you know, in terms of famous people, I've had a few people comment on videos. I saw Zara, is it Zara Thompson?
Really?
She,
what's her
not
name?
Zara Thompson. What's her name? Zara McDermott.
Zara McDermott,
Yeah,
the one
she's
who
with
Sam Thompson.
Yeah, that's
Really?
it. Yeah, she, I think she liked my video the other day. Lauren Alexis has commented
actually, no.
before.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Do you know her?
Yes. Yeah.
Can't remember why.
Yeah, well, I wonder why. I know the name. OF, innit? Is it OF?
I think she does now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
She's
No idea.
Not sure.
That's right.
No
We'll
comment.
know who she is.
So Morgan, mate, Morgan. So let's say anyone listening, they want to create content and they're worried about the hate, they're worried about where to start, worried about how to get, find their voice. What would you recommend? What would you say to those people to get to where you are with over 280,000 followers on TikTok, future TV presenter?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say you've just got to go out and do it. Make that first video. I think the hardest thing to do in a lot of cases is doing that initial thing. I'm sure you guys probably see it with the gym. So even getting out of bed, just make that first video. It most likely will be terrible, but you will get better and better and better. And if it's what you enjoy, just keep doing it and keep trying. And I've had days where I try and make like a comedy skit every day, and it's difficult. You know, as you spoke about burnout earlier, it's difficult. Your brain sometimes just needs that rest. So allow yourself to have that little bit of a low period as well, because it's natural. No one's perfect. It's going to happen, but mainly just keep going with it, keep trying, and keep sort of receiving feedback as well from like friends and family. Say, oh, what do you think of this? Is this good? Some of my best ideas have come from mates who have said, oh, why don't you try this? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's actually a really good idea. Because I think in like content creation or anything on social media, it can be quite lonely at times as well. I think I spend most time with myself on my phone screen, just staring, trying to look at videos. What could I do here? And it can be a lonely place, but just, reach out to people in similar situations, and just keep going with it, really. Yeah,
but maybe not take advice from Gareth, the fruit and veg salesman.
Yeah, no.
Maybe not him.
Maybe don't take advice from the haters.
100%.
Yeah.
But I love that piece of advice, mate. It's been a splendid podcast as well. We will have to wrap up there, and it's been a pleasure having you on. Now, we always plug our guests at the end, obviously, to try and drive some traffic your way. So plug away, my friend.
Yeah, I'd say subscribe to me on YouTube. I do like a Harry Hills TV burp sort of style content. I take little out of context things from TV shows and try and put them together. Subscribe to me on YouTube and follow me on Instagram, morgan.trotman, NNN. 3 N's at the end.
3 N's at the end. And then obviously we'll put these all in the link as well, so you can get it, and we'll tag you on all our socials as well. So can't wait to see you guys. We're going to wrap up there. Thank you very much for watching the podcast today. I greatly appreciated Morgan being on here today, and there's so many little snippets and tips you can get there. If you're coming here new and fresh, then make sure to drop the subscribe button. We'd appreciate you watching. And if you're over on Spotify, then make sure to drop a follow. Drop a 5-star, please. We really appreciate it. And it just helps push the podcast out to more people, to help more people, to make people smile on a daily basis. That's what we're doing here. And if there's any guests you want to see on the show, then make sure to drop them in here. Greg James, Ben Shepherd, I'm looking at you boys.
Not Lauren Alexis?
No, not Lauren Alexis. Will we be here for that one? We will catch you guys later.
Cheers.